Hello, everybody. You know what time this is? It's Street News Now. 5 guys and you. Well, you look on the screen, it's 4 guys and you. Our fearless leader had to step out for a second. We'll be right back. We come to you every Thursday, and that's at 9 p.m. on the East Coast, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. West Coast. And I want to, of course, let everybody know on Street News Now, go to YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Or like and share, subscribe, however you do it. Just make sure you do it. We're going to make this thing rock and roll as we always do. Go around the panel and just begin the show. So let's start with Dr. Ron. Dr. Ron, how you doing? And what's on your agenda for tonight?
What's up? Deuces, love to everybody. I am glad to be here. You know, I want to put some rest to what they say on the Fox News Network all the time, that there was no such history of blacks being mistreated in this country. So I'm looking forward to dealing with that issue on tonight. Okay?
That's priceless.
Oh boy!
What are we going to do for the rest of the 57 minutes?
No, right? Yeah, that'll be straight bashing, straight going after Fox and put in the headlock. Man, I'll tell you, those motherfuckers. Okay, anyway, go around the table to Francisco, the chocolate Yaddah. Yaddah, what's on your mind, sir?
What's on my mind is actually an offshoot of what Dr. Ron had mentioned. It occurred to me today that we are living the book 1984 because of all the denial going on in the Republican Party. They are truly trying to rewrite history, and I'll give you the details later on.
Sounds like a plan. Of course, Professor Reggie Miles, Professor, we're in class. You know, we start to talk, so we're going to stop chewing gum. What are you going to talk about coming up?
You know, the same thing that I talk about all the time.
Yeah.
Funk Mentality. There's going to be nothing new coming from this side. And of course, I'm going to interject with reckless abandon on this evening. I don't think there needs to be any other conversation because I definitely want to be on this coattail of Dr. Ron.
All right. Now you know why I call him the King of Chaos.
Yes.
With this stuff about Fox News. I mean, but then and then we need to take a chance. Take this time out to really, educate and to express to our people to look to other views, because on the one side of that, one of the questions that comes to my mind is how different would it be, the news media, had it not been, if the Telecommunications Act wasn't passed, if all that deregulation wasn't done, if those pre-laws or, where you had to have 2 sides to every story, I wonder what it would be like if that would still be in place. And I would love to see how the both sides, the Demcoms and the Repcons, I would love to see how they would push their lies through a time when they're, the fairness doctrine and all those other, what would be the spin like today? Because, each network, right? Each network has their own spin, and they're hammering on their one issue, So, what about the balance, And I would love to talk. I would love to look in the crystal ball. Maybe our fearless leader can put his spin on it. What would it be like had the Telecommunications Act had not passed?
I think we need a tighter shot of your mic, Lee. Can you hear us?
Not yet.
Not yet, no.
And somebody need to tell him he's standing there in his bathrobe.
Look like he can hear. Look like he just got out. Look like he just.
Now he's gone.
Look like he did. Look like he just got out of surgery, Dr. Lee.
Dr. Michaels, right?
Yeah, Dr. Michaels.
The
Dr.
hell
Michaels.
with you.
No, calling Dr. Michaels. Dr. Michaels.
Thank you, Dr. Michaels, Dr. Lee Michaels.
Michaels.
Lee
Yeah.
Baby Michaels, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man, good stuff.
Truly the man behind the scenes tonight, right?
Absolutely.
Calling
Absolutely.
Dr. Michaels. Dr. Michaels.
Dr. Lee Baby Michaels. Come to the DJ booth, right? Exactly. Oh, man. And my topic tonight will be about this past last Saturday night, we saw the inception into the Basketball Hall of Fame about the late, great Kobe Bryant and his wife, Vanessa, along with Michael Jordan, had done that. And one thing that came to mind was she mentioned about this whole thing about having a Mamba mentality. So when we get around to my turn, I want to ask the panel, what is your Mamba mentality? Before we get into all that, we got to begin with the doctor because people talking at the bit already because doctor, when you bring these type of topics to the program, you got, Chocolate Yoddah, he can't wait. He's scratching and, scratching and everything else. And Reggie salivating. So, we might as well go and start the whole thing. And Dr. Ron, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, it is my honor and privilege to bring to all of the favorite newscasters of the Professor Reggie Miles, because he watched them quite regularly, okay? Because he pays close attention to what they're talking about. So, when I mentioned the fact that a lot of the interviews and the coverage that they have primarily says that there was, of course, no mistreatment of Black people in America. They stand on that very firmly. Well, today I want to notify them that there was a 107-year-old woman that was a survivor of the massacre in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and she gave her testimony to Congress on this week. Okay, 107 years old. She testified to Congress about the massacre that took place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, of course, if there was no massacre, then she would not be able to tell them of the atrocities that took place against people of color in that town. And it's just smack in your face, a living witness to be able to testify on behalf, to bear witness to the America's deep history of racial violence against people of color and Black people.
Is that fake news though?
No, it's not fake news.
How can we tell? Because it seems like everything is fake news.
This young lady said she is the oldest living survivor of a massacre that took place in Tulsa, Oklahoma on the 31st of May and May 31st and June 1st, 1921, when a mob of white attacked the city's Black Wall Street, killing an estimated 300 African Americans while robbing and burning more than 1,200 businesses and homes and churches. She was 7 years old at the time. So this was like, man, she came forth and told everything that she remembered about that atrocity that took place. Now, I know number 45, when he was in office, said he put Juneteenth on the map, okay, because nobody had ever heard of Juneteenth until he decided to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma and do a campaign rally. Well, I just want y'all to know, Juneteenth has forever been a celebration, especially in Texas. Now, some places up north might not have heard about it because it was something that was celebrated in Texas for a long time. But I tell you, to entertain this testimony in Congress, dispel. Can I use that word? Dispels all of the rumors that it didn't happen, because I have seen with my own eyes, okay, not just something that I heard Reggie say, but with my own eyes, I have seen people go onto the Fox network and say there is no history of racial injustice, and it never has been. Those stories don't exist. They have said that boldly and repeatedly. Okay, that we don't have to change how we teach history in public schools because the history that we teach is inclusive enough. So I just wanted to be able to put this to my brothers, because I know we got a whole mouthful to say about something like this, and to the fact that, of course, that's one of number 45's favorite lines. Oh, it's fake news. It's fake news. But he didn't show up in Congress when her testimony was going forth to be able to face this woman, even though he might not have been around 100 years ago, but he surely supports the position that people stand on when they say things like that. Oh, it was just a few people, 300 people, right? And 1,200 businesses. Man, come on, man. When are they going to finally realize that they murdered and massacred not just people of color, but whole nations of Indians and everybody else in this country that have been, laid to rest at the hand of the evil? I'm finna do a Farrakhan move, the evil white people, So we're going to, just throw that out there and let y'all chop that up for a minute.
Oh boy, where does one begin?
Before you begin, Yodah, I want to get Jed's comment here real quick. I think it was very vital. So Jed typed, saw some clips of that testimony on MSNBC. The way she said Black people's voices went unheard broke my heart. Recent records show it was hundreds killed and 37 city blocks destroyed, going back the whole thing in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with Black Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Chocolate.
Yeah. So the first thing that comes to my mind, I think I'll only comment on the social and political implications of the fact that Dump attempted to vilify journalism, because I think that the professor can address the real cultural issue here. To my knowledge, the industry of journalism is the only industry referenced in the Constitution. As flawed as that document is, clearly, there was an attempt to create a fourth estate that was a function of, watching the watchers, keeping the government honest. And it has been a venerated industry for the entire history of America. And for a fake president to come on and with two very casual and haphazard words, fake news, destroy all that is very disheartening, because I know that most of the people on the right listening to what you just described, Ron, are going to respond with those two words. And how easily they can dismiss people's entire history, people's lives, reality, by saying those two words. It's a crime, frankly. Journalism, whatever you might think of it, and Edward R. Murrow would probably be spinning in his grave right now if he saw the current state of journalism, which he predicted when he retired. It's a shame what's going on. Getting people to distrust the very people that keep government honest. And by the way, this was not accidental. This attack on journalism on the part of Dump and his criminal organization masquerading as a government administration It was purposeful. They did it on purpose because they knew that most of what they were going to do was trying to rob the Treasury. And they succeeded, by the way. That $2.3 billion giveaway that where 83% of the money went to their wealthy friends, they robbed the Treasury right in front of us. And they did it by disenfranchising journalism. So that's the main feedback that I have based on that.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's deep. And I couldn't have said it better myself.
I'll take that as a huge compliment. Thank you, Professor.
And I mean, listen. You know, without ownership, we're subject to those type of things. We're subjects to those type of things. I mean, and as you are aptly put it, I mean, it was a magician's trick. So on the one hand, he's hollering about the media, but then on the other hand, he's using the media at the same time. So this dude came out by saying, and he got into prominence, feeding into fear, using the Ronnie Reagan theory and stuff by saying, this dude is not an American. He started that. And that fed a row of continuous misinformation. And the very people that some depend on to give them the truth ran with that. They ran with it, man. And I just feel bad. I feel bad that we're caught in a situation where we're not studying to show ourselves approved. We're taking everything that comes from this system of journalism. You know, that Iraqi war, you know, even before that other one was based on a lie because there were never any WMDs. They use that as a means to go in and, as Yoda just said, to rob the treasury again. And then this time set up generational wealth for all their friends, like for 400 years, because wars cost money. And the only ones that profit from the wars are the international bankers because they are sending the money to both sides. They collecting it on both ways. So our people, everybody needs to have a greater discernment for what they see and what they hear, you know, in the media. Watch them all. You know, watch a little bit of the extreme right wingers, the ONA and the other one, and then watch the one that's supposed to be in the middle, Newsy, the Scripps Howard thing, along with the CNN, MSNBC, and Fox. They're all running by the same playbook, but on different positions in the field.
Mm-hmm.
And they're catering to the advertisers. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
So do you think that this testimony to Congress will allow our history to finally be acknowledged and recognized?
Well, you know, they knew it all the time. It's been recognized and acknowledged for a long time. You know, the Gap Band hit in the late 70s. The GAP means Greenville, Archer, and Pine. The three streets where Black Wall Street came up. Now, I'm just angry, you know, at our people ourselves because we should be celebrating that centennial.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of that, the 100th year of that thing. But then did that Black Wall Street leave a scar and a message on us to whereas we haven't recovered? You understand?
Yeah, definitely. I would say so.
You understand? Because we haven't We haven't built up anything as great as that. I mean, it made them so mad, right? That they were using airplanes and taking cocktails, gasoline bottles, and dropping them.
Mm-hmm. And the blueprint of Black Wall Street has been talked about in every Black community throughout the country on how successful it was, and the attempts to try to duplicate it have been talked about over and over and over again, but it still has not reached the level of success that it was in 1921.
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear, 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 fear. You know, fear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
violence is a very clear tool for any oppressor. You know, think about the fact that Black and Hispanic people of color, are by and large Catholic or Christian, and the fact of the matter is that was literally beaten into us a couple hundred years ago. You know, because once they started whipping those people, telling them, no, this is your new God, then naturally those people are going to teach their children that to avoid the same fate. And now suddenly it seems to be just an accepted reality, but that was never the reality for people. And you know, it's it's like anything else. It's an extreme form of aversion therapy where you shock people or harm people in some way to change their behavior. And I believe in the concept of cultural PTSD. And you know, there's so many studies that would suggest that that is a real and viable thing. And so the professor's 100% right. The fear of retribution is what keeps people from doing a lot of things, because guess what? There is more wealth in the community now than there ever was. But why isn't there that level of organization?
Americans, the community of people of color have consistently spent more money than the nation of Canada.
Yeah.
And this was like first discovered. Now, well, it wasn't first discovered. I mean, reports of it came out as late as the late 60s and late 70s. I mean, the early 70s. And it's continually been going on. I mean, you know, consumerism is our thing, man. You know, we're consumers.
Right.
And one of the things that they do to combat that, because think about it, think about if you take people of color and bifurcate them between Black and Hispanic, right? That's already dividing the voting block, right? Because if you combine the two, it's an enormous percentage of the population, so much so that when the next census comes out in, well, the 2040 to 2050, in that range, the prediction is that when you combine those artificially separated blocks, that they will outnumber the WTs out there.
YT.
Right? YT, sorry, the YT. Mm-hmm. I'm still working on that. So you know, that's a very significant thing, because there is this mythology based on almost nothing that there's a difference between us. There is no difference between us unless you want to count where the boat dropped you off.
Mm-hmm.
Ancestrally, right? They all got dropped off a boat, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, look at Brazil. People think Brazilians are some special breed of people. They're literally just Africans dropped off in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. You know, and you're absolutely correct about fear and using that as a tactic that works so that we cannot move forward. For example, you mentioned about the whole thing with Black Wall Street there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Over the years, we've seen our own versions of Black Wall Street, depending on what neighborhood you grew up in. When you went to a store and the owner of the store was someone that looked like you, that's a form of Black Wall Street. I dare say the Nation of Islam, when they were on top of their game, when they had the Shabazz bakeries and the grocery stores and the barbershop, that was a form of Black Wall Street. But the question becomes, how do you maintain that over the years? Go back to what you said about fear. Go back to what you said about how the monies have changed when other people come into our communities and take our money and go back to the suburbs. So we've seen this mad exodus of our own people not owning their own things within the community, and the power of the media, the power of the press and journalism. So let's go back to the 60s when the man you could trust on CBS Evening News, Walter Cronkite. In the beginning, he was a proponent of the Vietnam War. We should be over there. We're fighting the enemy. And people, of course, trusted him. And then someone pulled his ear, Walter, maybe you want to take a step back and come over to Vietnam and take a look for yourself. So Walter Cronkite goes to Vietnam, sees everything for himself. He comes back to the United States, goes back on CBS. I made a mistake. We should not be over there. President Lyndon B. Johnson said, if I lost Cronkite, I've lost the nation.
And that's how important journalism used to be.
Exactly. It used to be that. And you fast forward to Fox News, where, of course, they're going to have one audience. They have to subscribe to that. They have to lie to that. Why? Because that's the advertisement dollar. Because it's not about fact, it's about opinion. And then it's scripted opinion, too. I believe, you talk about scripted television, you can't get more scripted than Fox News. You can't get it. Everybody's on the script.
Well, all those Sinclair broadcasting stations are literally on a script every day. They pass around a daily memo. If you listen to even 100 of their channels, you will see the same exact words spoken on each one of those channels.
Oh, absolutely. Because that's the game. That's the game that they want to run. The media. And happy birthday, Malcolm.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, so Malcolm said the media is the most powerful entity on earth. Media has the ability to make the innocent guilty and the guilty innocent. Media is so powerful. I'm paraphrasing right, simply because it controls the minds of the masses. Now, what mind control vehicle do we have as a people?
And see, this is where we need the cricket sound,
Yeah. Dr. Ron, just say crickets and we'll move forward.
But you asked the question earlier, Chris, about how do we replicate the Black Wall Street situation. But I'm going to approach the answer from a different perspective, which is how do you defeat that? How do you make sure that you defeat that? Well, one of the ways is to make sure that you strip away economic opportunity to entire races of people. And another way is to combine that weakened economic state with really cheap goods and services right in their neighborhoods, a la Walmart and those types of places, so that the local guy cannot compete. Because really, we have the facility and the opportunity to support businesses for people of color, right? But the game is stacked in such a way that it's like, well, I got this little bit of money and it's got to go a long way. Well, yeah, I could go to so-and-so store who I know, he's one of us, he's in the culture and all that stuff. But man, damn it, this big box retailer over here has much cheaper stuff. My money's going to work better over here.
Right.
So this is all, and I don't know, I can't say that is part of the goal, but man, it sure seems like it is.
That's a valid point. It really is.
One of the things, and I'm always gonna get back to this. I'm gonna always go back and forth with this. We used to communicate as a people, through drums. And at present, right now, we have no drums. We have no way to deliver any of our messages in any kind of way whatsoever. I mean, we can solve the problem, but first, how do we deliver the messages to each other? You have all broadcasting Caucasians, the Caucasian broadcasting system, and you have nothing but Caucasians. And there is no network anywhere for us. Now there is a network that does exist. It does exist, the Black News Network. But have you seen it, Chris? Have you seen it, Dr. Ron? Have you seen it, Francisco? I have. I wish I could see it. I want to look at it. I would like to hear the perspective one time from us, regardless of how they learn their journalism. I believe that what we are will still come through, but we don't have that. So we have to get all our messages sent to us, or that are coming to us, is through a gatekeeper. And we have been convinced to give up the leather to play our drums. We have been convinced of that. And so, and until we can speak to our own self through our own mediums, you know, it's gonna be something. Y'all remember in the late 70s when, you know, after Hooks and started owning radio state, after Benjamin Hooks, who was the FCC chairman or something else, something like that, and then they had the tax certificate and the distress policy, and then black folks began to own more radio stations then than we do now. And what was the result of that? Mayor Hatcher, Mayor Bradley. A little bit later in the early 80s or mid 80s, Harold Washington. Then the light went off. We cannot allow the masses to speak to themselves. We got to keep them out, because if they speak to themselves, they'll be able to do better by themselves. So what then they get all the stuff and all the stories. Then next thing you know, we looking at love and hip hop, Flavor Flav. You know, y'all know the story. Everything to keep us away from us knowing about who we are as a people.
Well, you know, speaking to what you just said about us beating our own drum, dancing to our own beat, I totally agree, which is, you know, one of the premises of this show. You know, us being able to communicate to our audience and to our people, to be able to, you know, give them our perspective, what we feel is news. Like, yes, the 107-year-old woman hit the news cycle, but it went through there so fast it should have got a speeding ticket. You know, it was not slowed down. It was not marinated. It was not contemplated. It was not discussed to the level that it should be discussed. And all of the, all of the kick in the teeth that some folks need to get. They just wanted to swallow it like they swallow castor oil. They know it's gonna hurt in the end, but you know, they wanted to just get it down. Okay, we took the medicine now. Okay, we just wait on the end result. You know what I'm saying? You know, that kind of thing. They don't wanna hear us talking about this. They don't want us stirring up the folks, you know, because that's what we are doing. And yes, you know, the internet is a new frontier that we have established our voice on, and we're gonna keep on until they take it away from us. You know, because like we heard a couple of weeks ago, they banning certain folks because they say certain words. Well, you know, that ain't gonna stop us. We're gonna find a way to get our voice heard, and that's the most important part of what's happening now. We gotta find a way to keep getting our voices heard. You know, like the professor got 5, 6 radio stations. He gonna preach in the morning and speak intelligently in the evening, you know, and everybody, you know, Chocolate Yoda's got a voice. He's expressing himself with persistent rumor, and he's bringing intelligent conversation. His voice is heard. Chris, 2, 3 times a week, he's putting it out there. So we all are beating the drum and letting people know what needs to be heard so that we can establish and reestablish, because it was established once, now we're reestablishing, you know, our voices in the community so that people can depend on us to bring a subject that ain't tomfoolery. Okay, like you say, Flavor Flav, and I hate to call the brother tomfoolery, but it was, and it's important things that we need to talk about. Okay, we have important things to talk about. To me, I could not help but address this issue. 100 years ago, the oldest living survivor, 107 years old, in the statement, she comments that she remembers the cries of the people.
Yep.
How profound is that?
Yep.
The cries of the people. This is not hearsay. This is not secondhand information. This woman survived a massacre. Okay. I remember a few years back, some decades ago, when they came out with the movie Rosewood. Remember that one? Same situation, 2-3 years, right around the same time as Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, Florida. They interviewed a survivor of Rosewood. And she mentioned in her interview that it was because of some good white people that I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Okay, that was her testimony, because of some good white people. Okay, because everybody else was massacred in that town. They wiped out everybody around the same time, early 1900, I want to say 2 or 3 years plus or minus of Tulsa, Oklahoma. But
I think it might have been 1915 or 1919. I'm gonna look at that. I'm gonna look at that up. I'm gonna look.
Yeah, but it was right around the same thing when it was fashionable to wipe out black communities. Okay, so I'm going to continue beating the drum, Professor. I'm going to pound on it as hard as I can and try and let people know that, yes, we have a voice. One of the things that I say on my show, and I say it quite regularly, is that, I'm not mainstream media. I give a voice to our heroes and sheroes that nobody have ever heard of. I bring forth people that you might not even know they exist if it were not for my outlet. So I'm going to continue doing just that, bringing forth people to talk about what they do in the community that nobody ever heard about. Nobody ever spotlights them. Nobody has ever brought forth anything good that they have done. Okay. So we got an opportunity to turn this around, brother. Go ahead, Professor. I know I can start preaching. I can.
I'm with you, but 2 stories. The Rosewood massacre happened 2 years.
2 years
after the Greenwood, Archer, and Pine Black Wall Street massacre. Okay, and so then, funny thing, in one of my classes, I was teaching. And I began speaking about that, not knowing that one of the students in there was the grandson of Arnett Doctor. Arnett Doctor. And he, after class, he sat and he just put the massacre in my mind. I was taught by the student from what his grandfather had told him.
Wow.
And his last name was Doctor, and I'm just, it didn't dawn on me what was going on, and I'm steady trying, and I was telling the students that I wanted them to recreate a history moment about a happening in America. Let's bring up some history that maybe the little kids, that when they hear it on our station or whatever, they can pick up on it. And so I happened to say, well, look, this will be a great example. And I brought up and showed showed up a lot of information. And he said, after class, said, Professor, that was my grandfather.
Yeah.
So that was like, whoa, on that Doctor, after when I saw the movie. And then I went home and watched the movie 2 or 3 times after that. And so, and I'm just thinking, and there's a documentary on the Black Wall Street massacre, because those people never got compensated. They never received any reparations.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
As a matter of fact, there's a docuseries, and I think I'll take it back, solo documentary coming up on CNN about the Black Wall Street that happened as well. I think it's this weekend or next weekend. As they say, check your local listings. But that's going to be a powerful thing to see. If you don't know anything about Black Wall Street, or you've heard of it, or I would suggest not only read about it, but the documentary in the trailers I've seen have been very powerful. And that's just the trailers.
And they had some HBO series that was like supposed to be a close. I can't think of the name of it, but it was one of those.
Yeah, they highlighted the incident as a moment in time.
The name of the series is The Watchmen.
The Watchmen, right?
Watchmen.
Regina King.
Watchmen.
Regina King, right?
Yeah.
But
in fact, the opening scene is the Black Wall Street
actual massacre.
There were survivors of the family survivors. They picked the story up there from the survivors and the descendants of the massacre. Exactly. And that's what they built the whole series around, that the Watchmen. Yeah.
There you go.
So all right.
Our ability to tell our stories to one another, and to share and to capture them, that needs to become a focal point for us. Instead of, that's why I like what the lady has done with the history makers. That I like that. So, but that needs to be more widespread in every aspect of our existence here.
Exactly.
All right. This is the time of the show, of course, where someone gives an ID, and I believe it's Dr. Ron. So, Dr. Ron, please tell the people what this program is about, and you have the floor.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
This is the Street News Now Network, and we come together each and every Thursday to celebrate and work with our fearless leader who is on assignment, I'm assuming. He showed up in his bathrobe earlier, the legend, Mr. Lee Michaels, and then he disappeared. I'm probably doing some things that are unspeakable at the moment, but
I just can do that. he has that right.
But we are here, doing our thing on the Street News Now Network, and all of us, my brother in broadcasting, Mr. Chris Bass, BoomShockalaka, my brother, Mr. Francisco, aka Chocolate Yaddah, and the professor, Mr. Reggie Miles, and myself, Dr. Ron. We are all here doing what we do, beating the drum, telling the news from our perspective, and celebrating what's going on in our little corners of the world. So at this time, I'm going to throw it back to our moderator of the evening, Mr. BoomShockalaka.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And now I throw it to my brother in broadcasting, the Chocolate Yaddah. Chocolate, is up to you. Go right ahead.
All right. So this is a subset of what Ron brought up. It's something that occurred to me today because I had the unfortunate instance of actually catching a little bit of news today, and I do my best to avoid the news at all times, which I know has a certain irony to it, but I do my best not to consume too much news because it's all kind of nonsensical to me. And the thing that stuck out to me today is the outrageous effort on the part of Republican lawmakers, and not just pundits, not just, people that are self-identified as Republican voters. I'm talking about the actual lawmakers themselves, to deny the incidents that took place on January 6, 2020, what we know was an insurrection into the capital of America. And essentially, what they're doing is sort of the words of the Shaggy song inspired by Eddie Murphy's comedy routine, "Wasn't me." Mm-hmm. Hey, man, we saw y'all, kicking in windows. Wasn't me. We saw that you guys were armed. Wasn't me. We saw that you tried to overturn a duly elected vote by interrupting the ballot count. Wasn't me. Like, these people are on television essentially saying, don't trust your lying eyes. What you think you saw is not what you saw, right? We know you think you saw an insurrection. We know you think you saw people breaking into the capital of America. We know you think you heard that 5 people lost their lives that day as a result. We know you think that one of the people who were murdered that day, who was murdered that day, was a police officer, which you on the right seem to love because it was a blue life, but it was you people on the right who snuffed that blue life out, but you didn't see any of that. Don't trust your lying eyes. Trust us, the Republican lawmakers who are telling you it didn't happen. And the reason why I connect that to the book 1984 is because that's exactly what happened in the book. If you have not had the chance to read it, please read it. It was written in 1949 by George Orwell, but it could have been written yesterday, because it is the story of how governments blatantly lie to people. They rewrite history. The Ministry of Information in the book told lies, right? And what they would do is they would go back to incidents that happened and try to tell you that they didn't happen or they happened in a completely different way. So this is dangerous. This is the American government. These are the people that our tax dollars support and that we trust to provide for the infrastructure and protect us and keep our health up and all these other things and our economic well-being. These very people are lying right into the camera and saying that this deadly insurrection, the first time that a Confederate flag was inside the hallowed halls of the American Capitol, that didn't happen. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. Let's get over it. And this is one of the most horrendous things that I've ever seen, and I yield my time to the panel.
Man, look, did you hear excuse me, Chris, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you hear the comment when they did the side-by-side comparison of the day of the insurrection and a regular visiting day at the Capitol? Did you see that one? Oh, man.
I didn't see it, but I heard that guy tell that lie.
Man, it was just like any other day of visiting at the Capitol.
It was orderly.
Yeah, just look at the pictures. The people are between the ropes and everything.
It's outrageous. There's a line in a great film delivered by Inigo Montoya. He says, "You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means." So when they say it was orderly and it was regular and it was normal, they obviously have different definitions for these words than we do.
Yeah. I have to say, they talk about how I quote movies from time to time. For me, this fits. This is Scarface. So he's almost about to get chainsawed in the motel bathroom, and he says to the guy, "Why don't you stick your head up your ass and see if it fits?" That's the Republicans. That's the Republicans. Because you can't. You expect them to lie. And we should be used to it by now, but unfortunately, once again, everybody has seen the footage or saw it in real time, the insurrection on January 6th, the whole riot, everything else. And then their so-called fearless leader lied to them. "I'm going to march with you to the Capitol." Was he there? Of course not. But it's amazing how these acolytes follow these type of doctrines and don't question it. They don't have if they had a brain, they threw it out years ago. It must be nice. And go back to, we talk about the whole fairness doctrine thing that Professor get into. The one thing that the late Rush Limbaugh, no, I say great, the late Rush Limbaugh, one of his liners he had during the show was, "Don't think, I'll do your thinking for you." Mm-hmm. Let that marinate. It wasn't just a liner. That was a way of life. Because if you subscribe that type of mentality, we said before about Fox News, and you don't go out of the realm of your quote unquote comfort zone, and like Professor said, check out all types of media and try to get a so-called balanced point of view. But if you're stuck on just a one-trick pony, and that's all you got, that's all you got.
Yeah, and what you're describing in psychology is referred to as the authoritarian mind. And to
Yes.
make a long story short, that's just children looking for daddies. And that's why these cult members latch on to these cult-like leaders, is because they don't want to do any thinking, and they might not even have the capacity to do any thinking on their own. And this
Exactly.
party takes advantage of that constantly.
Well, you're right. And again, you look at a party that's been around for centuries. You let a rank outsider come in and hijack and take over the whole party. What happened to the my way, the highway the Republicans had before 45 got there? They just bend down, kissed the orange ring, and just went along with the go along. They had no backbone, no spine whatsoever.
And
It
continue
became
to
his
do
party.
so, even though he was the most unpopular president. His
Right.
and I don't even consider him a president, but his approval rating never cracked 50. He never won the popular vote. This is a loser through and through in every definition of the word. He lost the last one by 7 million votes, and by the same electoral margin that he described as a landslide 4 years earlier. Okay, so why are they backing this not only losing horse, this lost horse, this dead horse? I don't get it.
Yaddah. That's what they do. Because
I've never seen them do this before.
Yaddah, a lie is a lie. Is a lie. All this stuff is nothing but logs into that fire, which is a lie.
Thank you, Professor. I was getting away with myself there for a minute.
Because what I see is that Michael Jackson, I don't understand, but they never really cared about us. That's what I see. That's what I see, and nothing what they do or nothing what's being said now is not going to convince me that anything has changed. He's feeding this thing, the old Reagan story that's been amped up through the, what is that? MAGA, what is it?
Yeah.
MAGA.
Yeah, make America great again.
Yeah, you know, and all that stuff is coming from the Ronnie Reagan playbook. And they don't want to associate it too much because Ronnie Reagan is the guy. But here's the kicker. Now, and speaking now, here's the kicker. So did y'all check out Fareed Zakaria? Oh man. They dropped Fareed dropped the great, he did a great report on the radical Republicans. He dropped that. And here's the kicker, what he did when he did that. He went back to Goldwater, right?
Oh man.
And when he went back to Goldwater, you know, because all this is Goldwater's hate coming back.
Right.
And the person that made the move in 1964 was who, Dr. Ron? Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Was who, Yaddah? Dun, 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 dun,
Which move are we referring to?
The move for, or who made the move to get away from the Republican Party at that time? There was someone that made a move to get away from the Republican Party at that time, who wanted to leave. Johnson had his own fight, but there was someone else. He was a person of color. And see, and all they told us about this dude was that he was the first person in the major leagues to hit a baseball. But he went down swinging, telling blacks they needed to leave the Repcon Party in 64. He led that delegation. How many of us knew that? Put your hand up. So Fareed brings that out now. That's just like discovering John Henry Clark or Amos Williams or Wilson. Other these other great historians. See, the truth is never supposed to be brought to us. The only truths that we're supposed to have is the truth that they feed us. I wish I had known, but you know, at the time, right, when you were told that a black was a Republican, the first thing you thought of was that he was a COON. Or he was a SELLOUT, right?
Right.
But Jackie raised sand because he believed in conservative principles. See, you couldn't tell my granddaddy not to vote Democratic. He what? You know, he was going to John L. Sullivan. You know what I mean? He was going to Johnson on you. You had the thump because he was believing. He was believing in the party of Lincoln.
Right.
And that's where we were.
That's where our alliances went to. Right?
Yeah. So at that particular time. So Jackie Robinson raised sand on that's why Goldwater lost. Because Jackie said on the TV, I think it might have been nothing but Caucasians broadcasting. It could have been the the Caucasian broadcasting system, or it could have been all broadcasting Caucasians. But he said publicly, I'm supporting Johnson.
For Reed, you said what's the last
Zakaria.
Zakaria, he's from CNN, right?
Right, he's from CNN. His documentary, The Radical Republicans. I'm gonna watch it another 3 or 4 times because every time I'm seeing something. But he set it up, bringing out Jackie Robinson first. And all we know, if you hey brother, what's happening? Hey, what's famous about Jackie Robinson? Oh man, that dude, he was the first Negro in the baseball team.
Yeah, no, he was very conservative. I remember watching the tapes of him denouncing Muhammad Ali. He did not believe that Cassius Clay should have changed his name and went to the Black Muslim movement. He felt he was disgraced to his race and the country. So I remember watching those, how he was just so vehemently opposed to it. And that goes basically before about those Republican or conservative viewpoints. But you're right. There was a mad shift. I'll say in the 50s and 60s, all of a sudden, these historically people in your family who voted Republican all of a sudden went to Democrats.
Yep.
Or they called Dixiecrats at one point. So yeah, that whole history is fantastic, man.
And so go ahead.
So it's safe to say that moving forward in history, that we should begin to do more analysis of the parties that we're dealing with and we throw our alliances to.
Yep.
And we shouldn't be, family.
That's the persistent rumor, Dr. Ron.
We shouldn't be just because my grandmama did it, I'm going to do it. We shouldn't be, because we have, nowadays, not, back then, but nowadays we have more information at our fingertips than ever. To be able
the
to
party of Lincoln hasn't
research.
been the party of Lincoln since 1865. So, get over it already.
Yeah. So, but if we use the power at our fingertips to be able to do research, we can find out more in a moment's notice than what it would have took a newspaper or the black newspaper. Because at one time, the professors always talking about black radio, but at one time we had the black newspaper.
Absolutely.
The black newspaper in every major city.
That's right.
Was responsible for bringing our news to us. And we all responded to the black newspaper at one time, and now they're all gone. We evolved. Look, when I was a kid, I looked forward to Jet. I looked forward to Ebony. Even though they were,
don't forget the offender. Don't forget the Chicago offender.
Well, I'm talking about when I was a kid. I like the pictures. you know,
Yeah, we know Pam Grier got your attention.
Yes, she did. But it was our news, our information. Okay. And it ran for it had a long time of being successfully educating us to what we needed to be aware of: political, fashion, entertainment, sports. I mean, we were able to keep abreast of what's going on. And, we didn't have to rely on other avenues for information. So I'm saying, yes, we don't have Jet and Ebony anymore, on the newsstand. But we still got, news at our fingertips. And I ain't talking about Facebook. Facebook is not a news outlet, y'all. Okay. For some of y'all gonna be shocked at this moment, but it's not. Okay.
Unless my grandson's birthday is news, yeah.
It is not a news outlet. And some people get 100% of their news off of Facebook. Okay. Or some Instagram or some social media outlet. Okay. And just like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, Wikipedia, you can change the facts in Wikipedia at your own discretion.
And here's the thing, man. Here's the thing that blows my mind, right? When you're dealing with the internet, right? So you can't check whatever you're gonna do on the internet, check the sources, check
fact check
where it came from. Because you got all types of mind-blowing ghost organizations that just put a sensational headline up there just to get you to read that, and then they doing some QAnon stuff to your mind.
Right. QAnon, you said it right on the nose, boy. QAnon is the biggest lie. Anonymous Q, okay, is the biggest lie that have screwed a nation. It has literally, my favorite word, skull fuck the nation. Okay, yes, I said it out loud.
Yes, of course, we had no choice but to hear it.
But tell me I'm wrong. Please tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're correct in your assessment. It tickles the 1/4 of my Native American heart where you just immediately go to fucking. So that's just me. I'm sorry.
And by the way, Dr. Ron, abreast of what's going on is another stripper that I know.
We're back to that. Yes.
Are we in the green room yet?
Look, I need to go to New Jersey, man, because he knows all the stripper names in New Jersey, man. I got to get over there again.
Hey, listen, everybody needs a hobby.
Well, like I said before, we want everybody to know that SNN does not stand for stripper names now. we don't want
over here it does.
Right, exactly.
Look,
what's funny, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'm glad we have the comic relief because we finna start cussing and get down up in here. So thank you.
Okay, great. Dr. Ron, you mentioned about Wikipedia. When I was teaching talk radio Illinois Media School, but one of the assignments I gave to my student, my first one they had first class, was so you talk about movie and your favorite actor, favorite actress. So what I want you to do in class, I would tell them, do me a favor and. Okay, here comes Melvin. Melvin, let me do my thing, and Melvin could talk there in the right-hand corner. So I said to my students, go online, get some information about your favorite actor or actress, and then recite it in front of the class and, get a chance to get your cadence and everything else to take it from there. So this one young lady said, Jennifer Aniston, an American actress. I said, stop, hold a second. Read it again. Jennifer Aniston, an American actress? What country are you in right now? America? You don't have to say American. Just say actress. But where she got it from? Wikipedia. And so if you don't know, you just know by habit, or your friends tell you stuff to go online. If they go online, you'll do the exact same thing. So it's a matter of retraining yourself if you allow yourself to be retrained. So nothing wrong with making mistakes as long as you learn from said mistakes. So Wikipedia, like you said before, is easily edited, so it's not a credible source. But if you don't know that, you think that's the source to go to. A lot of people go Wikipedia immediately. So again, my point is, and when you look at what's out there, you have to know what sources are credible and what's not credible. But somebody has to tell you that. Because if you don't, look, people still go to the shade room and find information, let alone Facebook, and take it for hardcore news. They rather, do that than to actually watch a news program. And going back to say earlier in the conversation, check out a little bit of everything. So that way you won't be bowed down to just one. You can have a myriad of them and then make a more rational decision.
Yeah, and just so we don't get sued by Wikipedia, just one thing that everybody needs to know is that Wikipedia requires citation. So even though, yes, it's true that anybody can edit it, it does require that you cite the source of what you're saying.
Yes. Where you get that from? Where you get that from? Where you get that from, boy? Where you get it from?
My lying eyes.
You said, "Hey, diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle." You jumped over the moon. Where you get that from, boy? Is that a Grimm fairy tale? Where you get that, boy? Where you get it from? You got to put that number in there, man, so people can know.
Exactly.
Hey, diddle diddle. What? Cats in the middle? What the hell?
There you go.
Hey, diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle and the cow.
Cat and the fiddle. And the cow
jumped over the moon. Yeah, man.
All right, y'all must have had Sesame Street when y'all was coming up. I never had Sesame Street.
I think
this predates Sesame Street, but
it predates. Okay.
Yeah, that was the old poem I learned. When Granny would tell you them. She told me, "Hey, diddle diddle," and then she talked to me about the owl and the pussycat. They went.
Why you say that, Dr. Ron?
I never got none of those stories, man.
Oh man,
I never
he
got.
He didn't like the owl part.
Nah, I'm just like I never got none of those stories. I don't know what was wrong.
You didn't get the owl part.
My grandparents must didn't like me. They never gave me that.
I think I was 5 and 6 or whatever it was. I think as soon as I was able to talk, the owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea green boat. They took some money and plenty of honey and wrapped it in a 5-pound note. And I ain't gonna say the rest because it gets to be too suggestive. But I'm learning. Look it up. Look up the poem, The Owl and the Pussycat.
Okay.
Look it up, and then Ron, it'll hit you right where you need to be hit, Ron.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Ron will have that tattoo on his back by next week.
Let me write that down. Homework assignment.
Yeah.
Homework assignment, Owl and the Pussycat.
Just write down the last part.
Yeah. See, y'all don't understand. See, the professor is always going to give us some cliff notes about some kind of book. He just did. He delivered again.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So when I saw this, I thought about the panel immediately. So last Saturday night was the Basketball Hall of Fame ceremony, and Vanessa Bryant, along with Michael Jordan, inducted the late great Kobe Bryant into the Basketball Hall of Fame. And during this time, Vanessa is on stage, giving her speech. And again, I commend her because still, it wasn't a dry eye in the place where people were panning the audience and, watching Kobe, and thinking about him. And the one thing she said came to light. She said the following. She said this, Vanessa, whether true to her character or summoning her own Mamba mentality from watching Kobe do it for all those years, gave a speech at the very least could have been the bones of what he would have said if he were still alive. So I'm going around the table, so I'll begin with Dr. Ron. Your profession that you've chosen, what was your Mamba mentality?
Oh, man. Okay. What I would say is my Mamba mentality. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words, man. Let me yield part of my time to the professor and come back to me.
Oh,
I had to
okay.
think about it. I had to think about it. You know.
Okay. All right. Cool. I'm sorry. Let me ask. Okay, take two. Melvin, your chosen profession. Melvin, what is your Mamba mentality?
Come on, man. I mean, that's really easy. I mean, you ought to remember that, babes, because when we met at KKC, man, you know I said, I don't care who it is. When it comes to playing that box, I ain't scared of nobody.
Ah.
And I'm going to get you. If you playing that box, I'm coming in to whip your behind. If you going to play some records with me, ain't nobody bad. I don't care who you are. You could have been this one. You could have been that one. You could have been that one. But you put yourself in the same room with me on the box, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. Nobody could play that music better than me. That was my Mamba mentality. Whatever it is, man, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. That was my Mamba mentality. Playing them records, man, if it's 50 people in there that love you, when you get through, them same 50 people going to be calling Reggie Miles' name. Because I'm going to be relentless. I'm going to be relentless to put, and give me a pop in a bottle of water. And I'm going to be relentless with that and doing what I need to do. That was my mentality to be the best that I could at my craft at spinning.
Hold that thought, everybody. Let me get a cognac and a beer back.
Look, and the professor put a 50-year photo up on social media, I think yesterday or today, and I was like, man, I would not have recognized him if it didn't have his name next to it.
He was a smooth operator, still is now.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That doesn't go anywhere. Reggie, let me ask you this question. So you talk about having that, that mentality and Mamba mentality, doing your thing and being a DJ. Did you ever look at a competition and say, okay, he's bad or she's bad or he's bad?
I respected everyone.
Right.
But that still didn't make no difference. I like Ali.
Right.
That was, and that translated into me teaching. When I was teaching the students, broadcasting and stuff like that, I said, you get in there and you deal with your friends, but man, you taking no prisoners. You got in the back of your mind, I'm going to replace you. I'm going to get you. As soon as the crack in the armor opens and I can come through there, I'm coming to get you. Because our industry, especially that, the DJ, it's a young man's game.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to go in there hungry. And you're not going to be defeated. If you get knocked down, you get back up, knock me down again. You're going to keep going up in their face. And that's what Kobe did, man. Kobe was going to keep coming at you. And if he couldn't get you, he called, hey, Mike, what's up? How can I get him? Mike was going to tell him. And then the next time they met, Kobe was going to get him. He was going to give him. You be relentless and never give up. When it came to that DJ, oh, no, man. I don't care who you were. I did not care. I was spinning with legendary DJ Herb Kent in the other place. Shoot, I was coming there and he called, Herb would signify, you bald head. I said, well, take off that hat. So you take off that hat. And we'd go back and forth. I said, I'm going to get you. And then when he left, 15 minutes after he was gone, Herb who? Just the way it is. Take no prisoners. Because the only thing you can do is the best that you can.
Yes.
If it falls short, go back, and if it falls short, retool, practice, come out there and go back at it again. When you get knocked down, you don't stay down. You get up. You get up. And if you taste the defeat, yeah, well, you got me this time. Yeah, you got me. But in the back of your mind, what Ali said. You know, he steady pointing because it ain't nothing but a mind game anyway. You know, it's nothing but a mind game. You know, physical. How you going? You know, people got these gifts and stuff like that. And I give you the prime example. You know, the fool, Dennis Rodman. Rodman wasn't the biggest cat on the court, but if you ask me who I'm going to pick as my power forward, I'm getting that boy hands down. I don't care what he going, cause that boy gonna go after the ball. He'll pull your shorts down while you're on the court. He'll get in your head when he's setting them fruity picks, and he'll tell you mine tonight. You understand? To do anything he can to give himself the edge to beat you.
Yeah.
And he was relentless with that. And Kobe was the same. Anything to give himself the edge to beat you. And the only thing about Kobe that was really killer is that if he got you down just like Mike, and you said something and you pushed him up, man, he scored 42 on you.
Yeah.
And then when he put that tomahawk on, when he put the big dunk on you, and then go back and do the thing. That's how I felt about playing records, man.
Yeah, and that's what you subscribe to. And you mentioned before about Dennis Rodman. I think the best compliment ever went his way was during the docuseries The Last Dance that was on ESPN. And Michael Jordan said the smartest basketball IQ player I ever played with was Dennis Rodman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That goes a long way.
Yeah.
Chocolate Yaddah, what's on your agenda? So your mentality when it comes to Mamba mentality.
Yeah, I've got 3 things to say about that. The professor just reminded me of something. There was a philosopher named Kung Fu-Tzu. Westerners would know him as Confucius. And he said, man's greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall.
That's right.
And last year, 11 months ago, I ended a 36-year corporate sales career. And my mentality was exactly like the professor's mentality. I was going to outwork everybody. I was going to out-train. I was going to out-learn. I was going to be better. And there are people out there, people listening to this broadcast right now that have seen me sell and know that I was a beast because of that mentality. And it wasn't harmful. I never did anything wrong to anybody. But I just had this inner drive that said, I will be the best. And really what the best means is exactly what the professor said, the best that you can be. So I was the best that I could be. I was the one sitting in my room alone for 3 hours working on presentations. So that when I got in front of somebody, like Les Brown said, I was hungry, right? Since I left, my Mamba mentality has been trained on podcasting. In the last 14 months, I had to learn how to record a podcast, how to edit the video, how to edit the audio engineering, mic technology, mic technique, graphic design. And I taught myself all of these things because I want to put out the best podcast that I possibly can. And I don't care who's doing it longer. I don't care who has what, who's a celebrity or whatever. My mentality is that you're going to find out about the persistent rumor. And if you do a search right now for the persistent rumor online on any browser based in any country in the world of the persistent rumor, you just do that search, I come up everywhere. And that's without search engine optimization. And that's because in the last year, I've produced 90 videos. Because I just worked. So that's how it is for me.
I like that. All right, back to you, Dr. Ron.
Well, the reason why I couldn't pick just one thing, because it's been so many things that I have been consistently working hard at all my life. But I'm gonna go with one of my my great moments for myself, because it all starts with self. So being 45 years in the entertainment industry, I prided myself, and I still do, on being a professional in touring and working with groups all over the world, dance groups, rock and roll, R&B, doing what normally we were not allowed to do. So I was kind of like a trailblazer, being a road manager, tour manager, production manager, in all those categories of working. Usually went to other races of people. But when I had the opportunity to kick the door open and work in those capacities, there was nobody who was going to do it any better than me, because I felt like I needed to prove it for the entire um, people, Black people, people of color, to be able to go in there and make sure that we were never ever left out of these opportunities ever again. So to me, it was the moment when I was able to, because they always have stereotypes for us. So, well, we can't do this. We're not qualified to do this. We're not qualified. That's why they gave it to other people. But when I came in there and showed them that I can do it better than other people, it took away all of the stigmas, the schisms, the isms, all of the history of being locked out, left out, doing these type of positions. And I was able to travel the world doing it. So I would have to say my excellence in what I did to be able to open the door, even though I'm retired now, there are still people talking about some of the tours and some of the things that I used to do when I toured. And I made history doing it for companies that never had a history of dealing with, Black people before in those positions. So that would be my historical landmark, what I left on the mark of the industry, of all of the people that I've ever worked with. I can remember, being in situations where when a tour or production company would come in, and then the house would always say, well, they're never ready to start on time. I say every show I've ever done started on time. You're never going to have to wait for me and my show. My show is going to be ready to hit. If we're supposed to open at 7, the door is supposed to start at 7, we're ready to go. Okay? I'm not going to ever run a production late on CP time. I'm going to always do what I was paid to do professionally and be an expert at doing it. So I would have to say, that would be the excellence that I have brought, from myself to the world.
So for me, at 19 years old in college, in Columbia College, Chicago, majored in radio broadcasting. So like everybody else, wanted to be a jock until I started listening to talk radio. And it changed my life completely. I was amazed that somebody could get on the microphone and talk for 4 hours and actually make sense and actually be informed or galvanized, also combined with personality. It was devastating. It was like I couldn't even explain it. I said, I got to do that. I had to do that. And then whatever it would take for me to become a talk show host, no matter what it was, to start going to a radio station, to run the board as a board op, become a producer and then work my way up. The cool thing about working at a talk station, especially when you want to be there, is that it's on-the-job training for me. I watch these various people do their thing on the other side of the glass. I produce their shows and hoping one day I could be on the other side of that glass. And people that know me, and even from this panel, I don't brag. I let my work speak for itself. I think it's like going back to what KRS once said, real bad boys move in silence. Let your work speak for itself. And over the years, people have been very kind. They would email me or text me if a show I've done had touched them, or get more information about a guest I've had on. And that just go back to hard work. The hard work, as we all know, is off the performance or off the stage or off the mic or off the field. That's where the hard work is. And then when your hard work shows in your performance piece, Charlie, you said about 3 hours, you would prepare. I prepare 3 hours before I do any show. So it's funny you mentioned about the whole 3 hour thing, because you're about to hit. You're about to be on your best because you know what you can do. And that goes with confidence, and that goes with time and effort. And you learn from your mistakes. It's like, okay, I learned from this one. I won't do it again, but I learned from this time. And so my mentality from the Mamba has always been like the old Nike slogan, just do it. You just do it. Let your work speak for itself. And having heard the stories of my esteemed colleagues is completely more than my honor to be in you guys' presence, because everybody has a backstory, obviously. And now that I got a chance to hear this, I'm like, man, look, I've always said there were some bad motherfuckers, but they actually proved it. So there you go. So kudos to each one of you. We have a couple more minutes left in the show. I know, Reggie, you want to get to your topic about a few things. And I guess our fearless leader, I think he probably went to sleep. That's probably what happened. Because Lee himself is 170 years old, so he probably needs sleep. Oh, so I yield my time to Professor Reggie Miles.
What? I don't have no topic.
I thought you could talk about the whole thing with the fairness doctrine and shit like that there.
Was it?
Yeah, you forgot already?
Yeah,
you need a nap too?
Yeah, shoot.
Yeah.
Well, I done said everything. I'm saying everything that I wanted to say. But other than the fact that I'd like to ask the question. I would like to ask the question: Has media deregulation really benefited us? Has it benefited us in any type of way? Because we steady have these arguments. And Ron, I don't want to talk about the internet. I'm talking about, because what are the numbers right now? Is there other than Radio 1, are there other black media networks? Is there a black media network in any of the major cities? How many black owners are there in the major municipalities, in the major cities? Okay, right. Only Stevie Wonder owns a state, is a black owner in Los Angeles. Okay, and then Melody Span, she has, just a talk station here in Illinois. But what other owners do we have? So has the law that deregulation, the 1996 Telecommunication Act, what they all heralded as being the great thing, we're still empty behind it. We're still empty behind it. And the way the business has moved, we now have to take what little scraps of media that's available for us. So now we got to, and I'm going to say it now, Ron, now we got to get internet stations and then connect them via simulcast to FM translators to have radio stations. Why can't we have regular AM and FM stations? We can't buy them now. The prices are too high. Okay, a station in Chicago, you thinking about trying to get that, you're talking about over 25 million. We don't have any capital for that. Okay, we don't have the capital for that. And then the organizations that we used to have, that used to speak about media ownerships, where are they now? This is a prime time to be talking about, hey, let's revisit stuff, but now there are no voices. Everybody tired now. They got beat down by the Repcons and stuff while they were in there. So what about the digital medium? Okay, what about that? What about the digital broadcast band? We're now seeing it through the internet how, online everybody has a multitude to present their own stories. Man, can you imagine what it would be like if they had the digital audio band to whereas we could broadcast terrestrially? Don't you believe that our own participation in the radio airways will ignite radio? I mean, the same people, the same single white males are owning all these stations. And we're getting the same content everywhere, both on radio and TV. Man, can we just have one time to own something sometime?
No,
You know,
no.
can we have
They why
Black
why would they want to give you something now?
That's right. I mean, but that's something we need to fight for, because we're never going to be able to communicate or get the message to us through them.
That's one train of thought.
Well, hit me with something else. I'm cool.
Well, I feel like
no internet.
I feel like once was a wonderful thing for that time period in that era. Okay, I think we need to innovate and evolve and adapt to what's ahead. Okay, so whatever's ahead, and it's going to be something after the internet. So if we go through the scope of time and figure out what's the next opportunity and get ahead of it and be there when it happens, then I think we can have what you're speaking of, which is our own voice on our own outlet, on our own network. But right now, trying to go back, as we look back in history and realize that for that era, there's no question that it was for that era and for that opportunity for us to be like, we can't go back to Ebony and Jet. We can't go back to that. We can't go back to the Defender. We can't go back to the Citizen newspaper. It's not going to be as effective going back to those opportunities as it once was. So what we need to do is be the pioneers and look ahead to what's ahead of us and go forward to be at that intersection of opportunity and space to be what we can make it to be for us. And I think that would be more effective than...
Well, yeah, but then if you're going to say it like that, then that means we might as well apply that to everything, man.
And I agree.
No. We don't need to be talking about Yodel, no more Black Lives Matter. We need to wait and just moving forward and wait till something else comes through so we can do it. And no.
Okay.
I mean, listen, the FCC has never been fair to people of color since its existence. Never.
Okay.
Never. So, oh man, are we supposed to give it up? No. But yet still on the one hand, they want us to do better. They want us to be better, and then they want to tell us how we need to get better. No, man, let me have my own thing and get out the way and watch me do my thing. James Brown, I don't need nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door and I'll get it myself.
Well, Reggie, go bang on the damn door and get your FCC and do it.
I ain't got the money.
Okay, then shut the fuck up.
No.
No, I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like that.
No.
I don't mean it like that.
I want to see you backwalk that one, Dr. Ron. Backwalk this
one. No. I mean,
this is why we need the green room before the show to get all that out of your system.
No.
Right about that.
No. That was cool. That was cool to be said that. But what you still ain't changed the shit we in.
That's true.
We still fucked up.
Yes, we are. We are.
But now listen now. if they doing stuff for folk that come over here on the boat and we've been here 400 years, give me something, man.
Well, and they're not going to give us nothing.
No,
And
because
like
we,
and
cause
and
we
like
got
and
to
like
take
and
it.
like and like right. And like you said, and like many of us have said before, we gotta take
Right.
what the hell we want. But
Listen,
I don't think taking, okay, taking a radio station, a terrestrial radio station is going to be the vehicle to get us to where the hell we want to go.
okay,
That's all I'm saying.
now
That's all
listen.
I'm saying. So
And
I'm saying, okay, if we
that's
look,
cool. I love that. That's cool. I love that. But a radio only costs $10. You don't have to pay no ISP to get the information. And plus, in the event of a natural disaster, when all your power is gone, you still can have a radio. So if that were not true, if all what you saying was beautiful, then why ain't the prices for the radios cheap so we can get them? Because they know what the power of it is. We don't, but they do. That's why they're not giving it up.
okay, you say terrestrial radio, and I'm not just saying you. I'm just talking about specifically, not target. Yeah, not targeted specifically to you.
I don't take it personal when it comes to this.
Yeah, right. So when I look back over time, there were many proponents of shortwave being an opportunity to be able to transmit worldwide. There were people that can sit in little old, offices in St. Louis and be heard worldwide. Okay. That worked for a time period and it stopped. Okay. There are many, I would say, evolutions since then that got us to where we are now. We got, like we talk about, some of these folks that got HD networks, they've got satellite, they got all of these opportunities that have evolved. Okay. But yet, nobody is trying to go back to what we used to have when we had, the transistor radio, broadcasting just on transistor radio regionally like that. Okay, because now people are trying to open up opportunities that will be transmitted worldwide. So that's why I said what I said about let's look ahead. And I'm not saying wait on an opportunity for them to give to us ahead. If we see where this thing is going, okay, if we see what can be the next move for what we do and what we want to happen is bring our information to our people, then that's where we need to be at when it happens.
I guess, I'm gonna go along with that, but that future stuff, that futuristic stuff about waiting on technology to do this and then abandoning the most personal of all mediums, I'm never going to buy that.
Okay.
I'm never going to buy that. Okay. I believe that the future will be a supplement to what terrestrial is all about. Because in when Hurricane Katrina hit, this didn't do nothing. It didn't do nothing.
They had CB radios and they went back to shortwave.
Well, what actually happened for them to get the information to them, the FCC ordered a low power FM station because the person that owned it was an engineer, and they told him to power up his station to 50,000 watts, and he was piping in emergency information, and that's something that's documented. They ordered him to do that because he was the only way to get that out there because they had no power.
And it was an emergency situation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So that's the importance of this. That's the importance of it. And here, listen, this thing has a FM chip in it already.
Mm-hmm.
but they will not activate it because then they will lose money. Because they're making money off the broadband usage. It's all about that French girl Monet. Everybody loves and want her. Monet. So that's what it's about. These things are capable to do that already. You can turn this into a radio receiver, but they wouldn't do that because then you wouldn't listen to the apps. Then you wouldn't have, then they couldn't not force you, but convince you, well, you need to get an unlimited data rate. How? And so when you got your regular ISP of $45, and you can get the unlimited data plan for another $30, then they can hem you up for $75 on this subscription. So it's all all good. But listen, once they unleash the DAB, that's gonna change the whole fabric. Europe already has the digital audio band. And once you have the digital audio band, you can do just exactly what you're doing on this internet. There will be an unlimited amount of frequencies available for anyone that wants to broadcast. The United States was going to do that, but it was the Eureka 147. But then they said, oh no, they knew that digital audio broadcast band would bankrupt the system scarcity that they have now set up for analog broadcasting. Well, we'll give them HD. And so they called it HD. And the company was IBOC, went out of business. And then you got people thinking that they're on the radio right now. Well, you can hear our story. You can hear our station now on HD too. And they haven't even made any HD receivers yet.
No, they sure haven't.
Ain't nobody gonna pay no $359 for an HD receiver, not over a TV.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so once the digital audio broadcast band comes in, it's gonna be a different story.
So when do you project that's going to happen?
It's not gonna happen.
Okay.
It's not gonna happen.
Ron, I hope you've learned a valuable lesson this evening.
What did I learn?
I don't know, man. You better be paying attention. Don't go at the professor with that weak shit. That's your lesson.
Oh, look. I love the professor. He know I love
it's an excellent discussion.
Yeah, no, I love the professor. I just, we looking at things, from different perspectives. I know where we came from. I respect where we came from. I know the power where we once were, but I also know that the future is where we should be looking to, and that's where I'm looking to. Not the professor, but I would encourage, to try and figure out. And the reason why I say that, I got history behind this. Okay, when cable TV first came out, okay. And I've told this story before. In the Chicagoland area, we had one channel on TV, okay, and everybody had a dish on their house for one channel, okay. And everybody wanted to watch. It was one programming. It was movies during the day and porn at night, and it was one channel. So when the inception of being able to start introduce cable television into everybody's household, digital television, because we were still on an analog signal in most places, then I was dealing with people that were on the cutting edge of doing construction, sales, marketing, all of those things, dealing with cable television. Somewhere along the way, we got sidetracked and we wound up on the outside looking in again. Okay. And look at cable television now. They got digital television in every household, every television that you got. Analog is a thing of the past. Okay. So I look at that as a transition of markets and trend changes and things of that nature that, we saw it coming. We saw programming coming where you can have 500 channels in your house on your television. You know, we saw it coming. We were there on the cutting edge of it, but yet not enough people, black people, took advantage in order to be able to make the money that is now out there that's being made through all of these things that we saw coming. We were there looking at it. So I'm looking now through the scope of like, what should we be in front of and ready for, because we know everything evolves and it's going to be something else coming. Ain't nobody trying to go back to analog TV. You know, if you had an analog TV, you couldn't even pull in a channel.
Well, why didn't they make digital radio when they made digital TV?
I don't know. You asking the wrong person that question.
Why didn't they do that if this future that you're talking about with this all this evolution, how come radio doesn't evolve? Why?
I can't answer that, bro.
Why didn't it evolve? Because they are still making plenty money with the analog band. They still doing that. Listen, a station in Chicago can cost over $70 million. When the person got it, when they first got it, was for less than $75,000. What was XRT? The man started it in the garage, right? XRT. And before Clear Channel or whichever them companies bought it, that station went over for $45 million.
I want to say the guy's name was Ron Gleason, I think.
Yeah, and he started it in his garage. He lived the American dream.
Right. You know, and CBS Radio came along and got that.
Yeah, and then so now it's owned by what? Intercom now. That's right. XRT is owned by Intercom now. So, you know, all this evolution and stuff, you know, and all those things. I rarely use that word because it's a buzzword. You know, it's a buzzword for something that to make somebody, it's just a buzzword. Because things are going to always change. But the change that we should be, when y'all going to change to digital radio. Because once you do that, that will equalize. And you know, that will put a lot of pressure on the internet. Because you're going to have digital signals too that are wireless. Nicholas Negroponte said what's in the air is coming to the ground, and what's in the ground is going to go to the air. The Negroponte switch being digital. So listen, okay, if all of this is true, then why not the prices for analog? Because listen, if I could get an analog station now and just broadcast to a community for little or nothing, I'll take it. I'll take it right away. Listen, when Barry Mayo and Purvis Span them, when they had the BMX and VON, we elected a black mayor. That ain't going back. I'm not trying to go back. I just want to have a better seat at the table. Give me a better seat as to what's already here. Let me, you know, it's all in the Bible. Let my people go, man. Let me talk to my people in my own way without you being the gatekeeper.
Well, keep showing up on Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I ain't as what's the name? What's the group name? No Diggity, No Doubt. Teddy Riley.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, keep showing up on Thursday and talk to the people. Give the people what they want.
And give the people what they want. Exactly. You know, all these musical cues, I mean, applies to life. I'm telling you.
Okay.
And this has been always a great time. Always welcoming everybody out there to be a part of this every Thursday when you catch us at 9 p.m. on the East Coast, and of course 8 p.m. Central and 6 p.m. West Coast. Street News Now, SNN. Any parting word before we get out of here? Let's talk with Chocolate Yoda and move our way around. Any parting words before we get out of here?
Just keep that Mamba mentality going and strive for excellence in every aspect of your life.
Very cool, Professor.
Oh, and one last thought.
Yeah, sure.
Paul Mooney, he just died. And he's so black that he died on Malcolm X's birthday.
Oh,
wow.
Great.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
Great guy.
So question, since you brought it up, would you consider Paul Mooney one of our great spokespeople?
Yes, but I would also consider that our show has gone on long enough, and I think we've run out of time for questions.
That was a good answer. I like that. That was all right. Okay, it's like we get rid of God here. And now you want to talk some more.
Well, he brought it up. He brought it up.
Yeah, he brought it up, but you could have kept on. You could have kept.
I brought it up as parting words, Ron.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, all right. I got it.
Oh, hell. Okay, Professor, then Dr. Ron.
Funk and Teleki.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Dr.
Peace,
Ron.
love, and happiness. Y'all come back and check us out again. Yeah.
Again, catch us next week for Dr. Ron Ford, Francisco the Chocolate Yoda. Francisco, let's see the shirt, because I know you're going to bring the shirt up. The rise.
Bam!
Shirt, there you go.
Persistent rumor, baby.
That's right. And Professor Reggie Miles, our fearless leader, Lee Michaels. See us next Thursday again. Every Thursday, we're here at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. the West Coast. But also, make sure YouTube, Street News Now, subscribe, like, and share. Have a great weekend. Peace and rest in power, Paul Mooney. And take care and be nice to somebody. It won't hurt you. If they slap you in the ass, slap them back. Take care. We'll see you later.